Welcome to this GDPR e-learning course from Act Now Training. This is the first of 2 modules which will help you learn about the General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR. It came into force on the 25th of May 2018 and replaced the Data Protection Act 1998. This module explains the important aspects of GDPR and what you need to do to comply with it. What is personal data? GDPR applies if you gather, use or share personal data in your job. Personal data is any data about a living, identifiable individual. So a form containing the name and address of a person is personal data because it identifies that person. Photographs and videos of people are also personal data because the individuals can be identified. Sometimes you may hold a piece of data which does not allow you to identify a person. This may still be considered personal data if there is other information in your possession which allows the individual to be identified. Which of the following will contain personal data? A. A staff group photo. B. Job interview notes. C. An exam script. D. All of the above. The correct answer is D. All of the above. So what can happen if you don't comply with GDPR? When data protection fails. You've probably experienced situations when your personal data is not handled properly. As these news stories show, unfortunately, it happens all too often. You may have received unwanted sales emails or text messages. An organization may have lost your data. Perhaps you were targeted by fraudsters. If this is the case, you will understand the importance of getting data protection right. Getting it wrong can cause people a lot of distress, or maybe worse. The ICO, penalties and prosecutions. GDPR is enforced by the Information Commissioner's Office. If an organisation is found to have breached GDPR, the Commissioner can issue legal notices requiring them to comply. In the worst cases, the Commissioner can impose fines of up to £17 million, or 4% of gross annual turnover, whichever is higher. Remember that you as an employee are also legally responsible for compliance with GDPR. Misusing personal data can lead to disciplinary action being taken against you, or even a criminal prosecution. In the worst cases, you may even lose your job. What are the possible consequences for you if you do not comply with GDPR? A. Disciplinary action. B. Prosecution. C. A fine. D. All of the above. The correct answer is D. All of the above. So what does GDPR say about how you treat personal data? Lawful basis. Whenever you gather, use or share personal data, you must find a lawful basis for doing so. GDPR gives you a list to choose from. You may have individuals' consent to process their personal data. You may have a contract with a person which requires you to record data about them. There may be a legal obligation on you to collect or use personal data. For example, if you work in a local authority social services department or the HMRC. It may be necessary to share personal data urgently to save a person's life. Public sector organisations may need to collect or share personal data to deliver public services. Your organisation may have a legitimate interest in processing personal data. For example, for quality assurance purposes or keeping employees safe. All these are lawful basis for processing personal data. Data about a person's ethnicity, race, religious or philosophical beliefs, political opinions, trade union membership, health, sex life, as well as biometric and genetic data, is called special category data. If you want to use this type of data, please seek advice from your data protection officer. Consent opt-in. If you are relying on consent as a lawful basis for processing personal data, you must first explain to the individual what they are consenting to and how their data will be used. You are not allowed to use opt-out tick boxes. Make sure that you keep reliable records to prove that individuals have given consent. Be aware and remind individuals that they can withdraw their consent at any time. Which of the following is a lawful basis for processing personal data? A. A good idea. B. Saving money. C. A legal obligation. D. All of the above. The correct answer is C. A legal obligation. Transparency and fairness. You must also be fair and transparent with individuals about how their personal data is collected and how it is going to be used. This information must be issued to individuals in a privacy notice, and it must contain all of these details. You should only use personal data for the purpose it was collected. It won't be fair if you do something completely different with it. Minimize the use of personal data. You should only collect or use the minimum amount of personal data that is necessary for you to carry out your task. Think of personal data as radioactive material. It should only be used with appropriate safeguards in place. The more you have, the more risky it will be. Personal data is the same. The more you collect, the more obligations and risks you take on. Personal data should also be up-to-date and accurate. If it is not, you may send data to the wrong address or make decisions about people based on expired data. Storage limitation. Personal data should not be kept for longer than is necessary, and you must know how long it needs to be stored for. Your organization's retention or disposal schedule should tell you this. Make sure you dispose of data that is no longer required securely. Data security. Personal data must be handled securely to prevent it being lost, stolen or corrupted. Follow good data security practice. Use strong and secure passwords that are difficult to hack. Don't leave personal data lying about. Don't open email attachments or click on links unless you are 100% sure that they are from a reliable source. Ensure laptops and mobile devices are encrypted. Always check an individual's identity before disclosing any personal data to them. If you become aware of a data security breach, don't ignore it. Report it to your data protection officer. Subject access requests. Individuals can ask for a copy of all personal data held about them. This is called a subject access request. In most cases, it has to be answered within a month, and you are not allowed to charge a fee. If you receive a subject access request, always seek advice from your data protection officer. There may be some exemptions that could mean an individual is not entitled to all the data you hold about them. How long do you have to respond to a subject access request? A. 1 month. B. 20 working days. C. 40 calendar days. D. None of the above. The correct answer is A. 1 month. Third-party requests. Sometimes an organisation may ask you to disclose personal data about colleagues or service users. For example, the police may ask for data about someone as part of an investigation. This request must normally be made in writing, as they do not have an automatic right to receive the data. Make sure that you follow your organisation's procedures for disclosure of personal data in these circumstances. Remember, if you are unsure, seek advice from your data protection officer. You receive a telephone call from the police requesting personal data about a service user. What should you do? A. Put the phone down. B. Say you will ring back after seeking advice from your data protection officer. C. Transfer them through to the service user directly. D. None of the above. The correct answer is B. Say you will ring back after seeking advice from your data protection officer. Other rights. GDPR gives individuals other rights. If an individual finds out that their personal data is inaccurate, they have a right to ask you to rectify the error. They also have a right to ask for their data to be transferred to another organisation, and the right to ask you to delete it if you no longer require it. Where personal data is being used for direct marketing purposes, an individual has the right to object. Which of the following are individuals' rights under GDPR? A. Erasure. B. Rectification. C. Objection. D. All of the above. The correct answer is D. All of the above. Remember, GDPR is the law which regulates the processing of personal data. A lawful basis must be identified for collecting, storing, and using personal data. You must be fair and transparent about how you use personal data. You must minimize the personal data that you collect and keep it securely. You must never disclose personal data to anyone without making sure that they are entitled to it. You must action individuals' requests in relation to their personal data. Always remember, if you are ever uncertain about anything in relation to personal data, or you require more information, talk to your organisation's data protection officer. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed Module 1 of this GDPR e-learning course from Act Now Training. Don't forget to complete the quiz. You can then move on to Module 2 to learn more about keeping personal data safe.